Hello, this is LenaPaschke and I am presenting my research paper on guidelines for the lifecycle design of environmentally sustainable office furniture. As we all know, the debate on the environmental concern has reached high strength nowadays. The office furniture industry on the global market is strongly affected by an ever-increasing focus on environmental performance of products. Consequently, there is a growing interest of companies to offer sustainable solutions. This research is based on the concept of the lifecycle design, which aims to minimize environmental burdens of a product's lifecycle. It deals with the environmental requirements of industrial products and is about designing stages of the lifecycle, which makes it possible to identify and engage the aim of reducing environmental impacts that are associated to the product during its life. The objective was to investigate the environmental profile of office furniture in order to develop product type specific guidelines that support companies and designers in integrating environmental requirements in the product development process. I briefly introduced the methods I've applied in order to achieve this objective. In the first phase of study, I gathered publicly available data about environmental impacts of different office furniture products, which gave me a first understanding of the field. In a further step, lifecycle assessments have been carried out in order to gain insight about the unsustainability of office furniture. A lifecycle assessment is the most reliable method to assess environmental burdens of a product's lifecycle. Afterwards, a method for defining priorities of general lifecycle design strategies for the assessed products has been applied. And in addition, a workshop that aimed to define guidelines for low-impacting office furniture has been conducted in order to gain a first draft of these guidelines, which thereupon have been further elaborated. In order to investigate the environmental profile of office furniture, I conducted life cycle assessments. First of all, I determined the system boundary, which defines all processes that are involved in a product system. Involved are the pre-production, which refers to raw materials extraction, its processing, and the production of components, the production of office furniture, the distribution, the use, and the disposal stage. When we perform a life cycle assessment, it is not the product itself which is under assessment, but the whole process in relation to the fulfillment of a given function. In this case, the functional unit refers to the use of office furniture for one office employee for a period of 1 year. Here we see an overview of office furniture products that have been investigated. I assessed currently existing products as task chairs, visitor chairs, an office space lounge, an office table, and storage furniture. The key question was, which is the most impacting life cycle stage of the office furniture? I figured out that the highest impacts of all assessed products occur in the pre-production stage. This fact applies to all furniture. In order to gain more detailed insight, I was interested to reveal environmental impacts of each single life cycle stage of all those products, so a series of further investigations followed. And at this point, we go back to my overview. Due to the time limit, I will explain the investigation of the life cycle stage with one product, the task chair. So what we know now is that the main source of environmental burdens is linked to the production stage, that means to the raw materials extraction, the processing, and the production of components. Let's have a deeper look into the pre-production stage. All materials involved in the chair have been evaluated, and in this case, primarily aluminium and steel show the highest impact potentials. Next, we look into the production stage. The main impacts relate to the die casting processes of the metals. I also assessed the distribution stage, which refers to the transport of the furniture to the customer. As we see, the transport of the packaging shows higher impacts than the transport of the product itself. The assessment of the disposal stage was based on a scenario that refers to incineration, landfill, and recycling. Compared to the other stages, impacts derived from the disposal stage of the chair are quite low. Even though only very small impacts occur in the use stage, I included its assessment. Vacuum cleaning of the upholstery has been considered. However, the impact of energy involved tends towards 0%. With the results from the life cycle assessment, it was possible to make a second investigation that referred to general life cycle design strategies that aim at environmental improvement in product development. I briefly introduced those strategies. The strategy of product use extension aims to design durable and intensely usable products. The next two strategies are related to the reduction of resource consumption, that means reduction of materials and energy in all stages. Material life extension aims to increase the value of disposed materials by recycling, combustion, and composting. A further strategy intends to avoid toxic materials and energy resources. And the last strategy aims to use renewable and non-exhaustive materials and energy. Based on this approach, I evaluated which of these lifecycle design strategies are more relevant for a certain type of furniture. Again, I show the results related to the office chair, and we see different priority indicators. So the strategy of product use extension has the highest priority. Finally, I can report some key findings which relate to all 8 office furniture that have been assessed. Overall, we can say that highest impacts occur in the pre-production stage, which is followed by the production stage. Only very low impacts occur in the use stage. And there's to point out that metals are generally higher impacting than plastic and wood-based materials, and especially primarily aluminium is a source of environmental burdens. Moreover, I can say that results of all assessed products have been very similar. Regarding the assessment of the design priority indicators, it is to say that the strategy of the product use extension has very high priority in all cases. This is followed by the material consumption reduction. In addition to the investigation, a workshop has been done that aimed at developing specific lifecycle design guidelines which should support the sustainable development of office furniture. The workshop was composed by participants as professors and design students from the design department of the Politecnico di Milano. Based on the insight of the previous presented investigations and based on the general life cycle design guidelines for environmental sustainability, we elaborated new product type specific guidelines for the office furniture products. The final outcome of this research is a handbook which contains those developed design guidelines. This handbook can be integrated into the design process and support designers to generate sustainable solutions. The designer can find information about lifecycle profiles and design priority indicators of different products as office seating products, office desks, and office storage furniture. Moreover, the provided guidelines are supported by diagrams in order to highlight specific problems, for example, problems related to environmental impacts of certain materials. Finally, checklists are provided that allow the designer to control the sustainable development of the project and verify if the guidelines have been followed. In general, it is most effective when environmental requirements are taken into consideration from the very beginning of the design process. So, in addition to the handbook, a digital tool from the DIS research unit of the Politecnico di Milano has been adapted that contains idea boards that provide the design guidelines and can be used in a brainstorming session in order to define a sustainable concept. Different idea boards are provided relating to the 6 lifecycle design strategies. And when all idea boards are compiled and ideas for a design concept have been developed, the designer can switch to a second function of the tool and use the radar diagram, which aims to visualize the sustainable improvement of a concept. The designer copies the best ideas from each idea board and inserts it into the fields next to the related design strategies. Automatically, a visualization about the improvement of the concept appears. Both the handbook and the tool are available as free and open source at landsinternational.org.